Hey everyone, thank you so much for stopping by my feed today. I hope that you're all doing well. As you know, I am back in lockdown, still in lockdown, and no end in sight. I'm in Melbourne, Victoria, Australia. Hello, everyone out there in the world. I hope that you're enjoying your freedom. I'm just enjoying my tea and getting through day by day. I don't know how the fuck I'm doing it. Tea helps. So, without further ado, I want to keep this video relatively shorter, and I'm going to do a little bit of a review and a look at this beautiful book which I picked up. I've been buying so many books off online lately, and I've been thinking, I was thinking like, what do I want to read? What do I want to look at? What do I want to do? And I'm getting lots of ideas for my book that I'm working on. I've got 2 kids' books that I'm working on at the moment, and this popped up, and it is the greatest story ever told, the epic classic, the Odyssey. Yes, fuck yes. And for those of you that know this story, you know this is like poetry. It's Shakespeare. It's Macbeth. It's like the greats. And I was looking online, and I found this one, which is an adaptation by Gareth Hinds, who is unbelievably, phenomenally talented. And I saw the artwork for this cover. Look at Poseidon just looking down at the little raft there with Odysseus. I'm bringing it closer, you can see how amazing is that cover. Fuck yes. And I saw this and I was like, I just have to buy this. And I don't care. I'm in lockdown. I'm going to buy as many books as I need to. I think books are just the ultimate purchase. And this is such a well done and beautiful, beautiful version. Lavish storytelling of a timeless classic. And if you guys know Homer's Odyssey, it's a really heavy, thick, dense read. There's a lot of it's quite hard to navigate through the way that the original is written, but this is a graphic novel, and I'm very visual, so this kind of it makes it easier for us to understand in the way it's told, because it's people talking. So it's like a story. So it's kind of like a storyboard. Like you could literally just take this and just put this into an animated film. And I think we're about due for an animated film of this again, or at least another remake of it. There was a beautiful version of this done in 1997 there's like a television miniseries you guys might remember. It was really amazing, and for the budget that they had and their special effects back then, it was great. They had the animatronic like head on the cyclops, Polimamon, I think his name is Polymamus. I'm not sure, like don't quote me, but yeah, I'm getting my head around a lot of the names. And I remember trying to get my head around reading the original Odyssey by Homer, and just struggling with like the text of it, the thickness of it, so much to unpack. But this is just so good. So chef's kiss. It is such a gem. This is such a beautiful gem to share. And I'm going to have a look at it, and we're going to talk about the themes of the story, and we're going to look at this book from like a reading point of view as well, because I just feel that if you're into mythology and monsters and heroines and a little bit of like the weird occult stuff, then you're going to love this. And I'll open up the book. It's so good. And this would be perfect for a class study at a school as well. I really would recommend this if you're a teacher and you're able to get this on your literary, for further study or unpacking. I mean, you can't go wrong with this. It's just one of the classics. It's got so much going on in the book. And the illustrations, I can't get over them, and I'm just can't stop talking about how good this is. Like, it's so impressive, and to share this beautiful work with you is just so good. And so we open up the double page here, and we get this Ithaca. We're overlooking this book 1. There's kind of like, it's all condensed into, all of I think there's like 24 books that was all condensed. So he's done such a beautiful job of condensing this into something that is more digestible for just, the regular person that isn't up for a really intimidating read. This is so good. And it starts off in the first page. I'll have a little sip of my tea and I'll read this intro. Sing to me, O Muse, a man of many troubles, Odysseus, skilled in all ways of contending, who wandered far, and after help sacking the great city of Troy, sing me through and tell me your story of suffering, his trials and adventures, and his bloody homecoming. Yes, fuck yes. And we see this depiction here, like just opening it up, the shots and the angles that Gareth has drawn this from, so good. Look at Olympus, that's so cool. And it's got this comic feel to it, which I'm not a massive comic fan, but I mean, how else could you possibly condense this much content and richness into the story? We've got Zeus sitting up there, we've got the gods discussing things. I'll just kind of start to walk you through a little bit of it because I want to keep this video a bit shorter. If you know the story, so Odysseus is this epic long battle. He was away fighting in Troy for 10 years, the great battle of Troy with the Helen. There were so many stories before this or around this narrative, and there's so many. That's the thing about this book and about the Odyssey, or Homer's Odyssey, is that there is so many interplays of stories happening at one time through gods that are feuding or using men through God, or mortals dealing with monsters. And there's just so much to unpack in this. It deals with romance, it deals with mystery. There's it's just got so much stuff going on, and it's such a heavy book to get your head around. And but honestly, when I look at this artwork, it just look at the viewpoint here. I can't stop. I just can't stop looking at it. I'm going to flip through some of it. So you know that his trials were that he was plagued by Poseidon. He was forbidden to return home to Ithaca, and he just kept getting knocked off course all the time. And the story of Odysseus is that the thing that's really, I think, makes him such an interesting character is that he is flawed. Fundamentally, Odysseus is flawed, and this book deals with kind of double standards, because while he was away on this epic journey and getting knocked more further and further off course, he had affairs with nymphs, and he had help from the gods. He had a god working against him in Poseidon. He had a god working for him in Athena. And I think that the thing that's really depicted so well in this as well, and it's translated beautifully, is that it's his struggle to never give up. It's his struggle to keep on going. And we see here he is stranded. Look at this beautiful art here. We've got Poseidon, says, you're going to suffer. You can't leave. I'm going to make you suffer. And the gods were kind of coming to their time where they were like, you need us. You can't exist without us. But they've even got a little mermaid in here. I love that there's different angles here, like getting slammed by the waves, and being forbidden to drown, but being thrown around in a violent storm. Look at that. It's so good. I've lost my train of thought. I just look at this artwork and I'm just like, yes, this is so good. Look at this angle here of this shark that's kind of underneath him. And so, yeah, he's fundamentally, Odysseus is, he's very cunning, and he is a liar. He is very much like that Gemini mind. He's a great thinker. He's able to get out of situations. My favorite part of the story is when he comes to the island of the Cyclops, and he's trapped in the cave with the Cyclops, the tongue-tied Cyclops. And we see here, even the color palette as we go from Gareth's choice of art coloring here in the palette has gone from, they get to the island and they're hungry, they go into this cave and they find, cheese or whatever, and it is belonging to a Cyclops who picks up, could you imagine just the size and scale of a Cyclops? He locks them in there. And we've got this red palette that it changes to, where we can see the change here of danger in the artwork, the danger of being, trapped. This is a very treacherous character, and you can see that. Like, look at the art there of the Cyclops laughing, and he's picking up the men and smashing them. Like, it's violent, and that's part of what Greek mythology was. It was violent. It is terrifying, and just the angle of the hand coming down to pick up one of his men. I think he lost a few men, 6 men or a few men in the cave with the Cyclops, and Odysseus kind of, gave him wine, and he's able to talk his way out of things. His character is able to, get out of tough situations. He doesn't really play fair. Like, if we go back to the Iliad, I think it was, which was the first part of the story of Odysseus's journey through Troy, and the war of Troy that lasted for 10 years, and everyone just wanted to go home after 10 years. He ended it by taking the horse and bringing it in, the Trojan horse. And, that was while they're all sleeping, because they think they've won the battle, they've been gifted this beautiful big horse. They're all inside the horse, and they come out and slay them all while they're sleeping. So he's not afraid to play down and dirty. Like, his character is very maniacal and cunning. And I think that's why Athena really is, like, she wants to help him. Athena along the way gives him little tips and tricks and is kind of rooting for him. So yeah, just like, look at that. Look, so good. I could just, even if you don't want to read the text, you could just look at the artwork that Gareth has done, and you can see you can follow it, And he blinds the Cyclops while he's sleeping. He gives him wine, and they blind him. And he also tricks the Cyclops and says to him that, when the Cyclops asks him, what's your name? And he says to him, my name is Nobody. And of course, so Poseidon's son is the Cyclops. Like, the Cyclopses were Poseidon's children. And that's so good. Even like nipple piercings on the Cyclops, like, it's so good. And then he gets out, and of course, but he's a little bit boastful. So after he's blinded the Cyclops, he calls out and says, it was me, Odysseus. And of course, the Cyclops, in his voice, I could just imagine calling out off the ocean as he sails off with his men, saying, throwing rocks. You can hear, like, I love this, like, splash, bang, fling. There's a lot of movement in the illustrations, like the waves that are being caused from the rocks hitting the ocean as a Cyclops throwing them. Just beautifully done. And I can't do a Cyclops voice, but I'll try. Is like, avenge me, father. Like, you could just imagine, like, him crying out in pain and anger to, Poseidon. But you see, Odysseus doesn't realize that Poseidon is the Cyclops' father, which would just piss off Poseidon even more. Oh my God. And then they get this bag, and his men are forbidden to open it. And of course, they think it's treasure or something, and they open it, and it opens up all of this wind, and it sets them further off their mark. So it's like every time they come into the shore of Ithaca, they just get blown out further. It's so good. I'll fast forward a little bit. He even comes into the court of Circe, who's the witch who turns his men into animals. In some depictions, he turns them into pigs, as we can see here. And he has help from Hermes, and Hermes gives him like a root to eat, or like a herb, which makes him immune to her magic. And then he, it's just so good. He goes into the underworld. Look at that. Look at this beautiful depiction of Hades in the underworld. I love the color palette. The use of color is gray. We've got this death side of things where we can see, it's just, God, I know I'm saying it a lot, but I can't stop. This is a very famous thing here as well, is where his ship passes by the sirens, and they are singing out to him, and his men have to tie him to his mast, so he gets trapped. He gets tied up because that's like they're trying to crash his ship onto the rocks. It's just such a treacherous journey. And we come into my favorite part, or my second favorite part of this book, of this beautifully animated graphic novel, would be when he goes to they go through the rocks, the crevices, and they go through this part of the cliff area where there's these giant monsters, and we get the Scylla, who's this giant big monster with 6 heads, who just comes straight down off the edge of the top of the cliff, up the top, straight down, and just starts eating his men off the boat straight up. and he's just like gets past the Scylla enough just to get through, and they think that they've got a break, and he's like, heave, like, you know, they're paddling to get the fuck out of there. They've lost all of their men, and they, you know, it's just, oh my god. And then they get to Charybdis, which is another monster, and it's like a giant big garbage disposal. It's like and yeah, he gets on a wreck, and then Poseidon. It's just so good. I can't stop it. I just can't. Like, just guys, get this book. Like, for fuck's sake. If you're gonna spend your money on something, why not get a beautiful, beautiful book? I've seen that the illustrator Gareth does a lot of other classics. He's done the Beowulf as well. He's done Romeo and Juliet, I think. And yeah, it's just doing the classics, and it's just so beautiful. He also has to return home, and then he gets he's got to shoot. You know, he's got to shoot the arrow through he's got to bow his bow, and you see while he's away, all of the men in his court have been trying to, you know, take his wife Penelope, who is coming back to, and there's so much there's just so much to unpack in this book, and I'm just really enjoying taking my time, and I get into bed and I get my cup of tea, and I like just enjoying the illustrations and the artist's depiction of these characters, and just unpacking a flawed hero. The Odyssey for me is a 10 out of 10. It has got everything that you could think of. It really explores I think it's the depiction of the trials and tribulations that humans go through, and it also kind of deals with layers of plot where we've just got so much subtext happening with the characters. If you guys know the gods and you know how cruel they were, and yeah, I'm just so caught up in this. So I've already gone through it once, but I'm going through it again. I cannot say enough good things about this. I really enjoyed talking about this beautiful, beautiful book. Every time I look at it, I just get something new out of it. And I think that this is an artist that deserves so much credit and so much respect. And I'd love to see this in an animated series or an animated movie. I think we're due for a really good classic. We're ready. I feel like the collective, like, we're ready right now. Netflix, find Gareth Hinds, get this into a Netflix movie, do it, because I think you'd have something really special on your hands. The exploration of the flawed hero. And one of the things that comes up about this is like the double standards of a man who can be unfaithful to his wife, but also, you know, she gets punished for it. She's not really allowed to, you know, be unfaithful to him. So there's a lot of interesting like underplay with, I guess you could say, fairness. But yeah, I love Poseidon. I love the gods. This is a 10 out of 10 for me. Mwah, chef's kiss, and I hope that you've enjoyed it. Check it out. I'm going to leave the links in the description below where you can pick up a copy and support this artist and support this creator, because it's just I can't even get over it. Thank you so much for watching. This was my look at the Odyssey by Gareth Hinds, and yeah, blessings to you, and I hope that you guys are well. I'll see you in the next video. Don't know when that'll be, but it'll be around soon. Okay, bye.